Have you ever finished a study session and still felt slow when you tried to speak? That usually happens when your time leans toward reading rules instead of actually using English. Today, we're going to flip that with a simple idea you can keep for weeks: the 70-30 rule. I'm Adam Cooper from the English Speaking Club. We help you build English speaking confidence one podcast at a time. Here's the rule in plain words: you spend 70% of your time using English with material you mostly understand, and about 30% goes to a short, quiet review that supports what you just did. The numbers are a guide, not a prison. The goal is more doing plus a small slice of targeted study. When I say material you mostly understand, I mean a short video, a paragraph, or a podcast segment where you catch the main idea without pausing every few seconds. If you feel lost, it's too hard for now. If you feel bored, it's too easy. Aim for mostly clear with a little stretch. What this means is to choose content you can follow easily, but with a few new words, phrases, or ideas that you can check after so you grow without stress. 70% is not one giant session. It's lots of small blocks where you produce English with your own words. Think of them as 1, 2, or 5-minute pieces that you stack across your day. To stack is to add one thing on top of another. In this case, it is attaching small learning habits together. For example, you record a quick voice note about what you finished today. You watch a short clip and say 2 sentences out loud about the main idea. You write 2 lines to a colleague and send them. You read a small post and write a 1-sentence reply. You describe a photo on your phone in 2 sentences. You do a 30-second stand-up update for yourself, what you did and what's next. You read a short dialogue aloud once, then put it away and retell the idea in your own words. You speak for 1 minute while you make tea or walk to the bus. If you produced language with your own words, it belongs in the 70%. You don't need to do it all at once. Simply spread it out through the week or even your day. Make them tiny sessions that are doable. The 30% is quiet, focused review that supports what you just did. Keep it small, specific, and connected to today. Maybe you check one word you needed in an English-to-English dictionary and write one easy sentence with it. Maybe you rewrite one of your lines to make it shorter and clearer. Or you decide to read one grammar example that matches a mistake you made, then fix that line. Correcting your own mistakes is also a powerful learning tool. Or perhaps you save one useful phrase from today in a short note and say it once out loud. Or you open a tiny set of cards, 3 to 5 items, and review only words you actually used. Alternatively, you could read one sentence from a trusted source and copy its structure once with your own idea. Doing just a couple of these is enough. Here's how a single 10 to 15-minute block looks when you follow the rule without stress. First, you use English for 7 to 10 minutes. Choose a short clip, a small article, a message you need to write, or a quick voice update you want to send. Speak, type, or retell. Then you do 3 to 5 minutes of review. check one or two small gaps that showed up while you were using English. Make exactly one tiny improvement and stop while it still feels light. You can do one of these blocks in the morning and one in the evening, or just one a day. Both count. Let's do one example together so you can see how it works. Imagine a 90-second news clip made for learners. First, you listen once without stopping. Then you say 2 sentences about the main idea. After that, you listen again and add one detail to your summary. To close, you check one new word in an English-to-English dictionary and write a short sentence with it. Done. You used English and you studied a tiny part. Both happened, and most of your time was spent using English. Here's another example with writing. You need to send a short work email. Draft 2 lines in simple, direct language. Read them out loud once and send. In your small review, look up one phrase you were unsure about and write a better version for next time. That's the same flow. Do first, then a tiny fix. If you prefer audio, try a podcast segment you mostly understand. Listen for 1 minute while you tidy your desk. Pause and say one sentence about what you heard. In your review slice, save one phrase you liked and say it once aloud. That is enough to move your English forward today. A social touch helps you improve faster, and it still sits inside your 70 because you are using English. Ask a friend or colleague to read one line and suggest one change. Post a 2-sentence update in a learner group and ask one small question. Use a language exchange app and trade a 60-second voice note. Join a local or virtual conversation meetup and say something once, even if it's brief. The reply you get often feeds your 30 for the day. Maybe you learn one better verb or one clearer phrase and add it to your note. Choosing the right content for the mostly understandable idea can be simple. For video, pick short clips with clear speech and familiar topics. If you can summarize the main idea after one pass, you're in the zone. For reading, choose graded articles, short emails, or posts that feel clear with a little bit of difficulty. You could also choose English novels for language learners that come with meanings and exercises. For podcasts, use learner-friendly segments or topics you already know well in your first language. You should be able to say what it was about without pausing to decode every line. Reading and writing can sit on both sides of the rule depending on what you do. When you read and then say or write something with your own words, that reading's supported use, so it belongs in the 70. When you read only to collect rules or vocabulary you never use, that belongs in the 30. When you write 2 lines to a real person and send them, that's use. When you quietly copy notes that never leave your notebook, that's study. Both matter. The split simply keeps your time balanced so practice doesn't get buried under analysis. If your week is busy, keep a simple sketch. From Monday to Thursday, do one small block each day. On Friday, do the same and say out loud one thing you improved this week and one phrase you will keep using next week. On the weekend, if you want, take a light walk with a short podcast you mostly understand and say 1 or 2 sentences about it. That's plenty. Let me give you a few ready-made lines you can use during your 70 today. You can say, "Here's a quick update. I finished the first part of my task." I'll share a short summary this afternoon. You can ask, could you check this one sentence and suggest one change? Use one of these with a real person. That single action is usually worth more than 15 minutes of collecting rules you do not apply. Sometimes you need a small nudge to keep the habit alive on a hard day. A nudge is a gentle push or reminder that helps you do something without forcing you. If you have no time, record a 1-minute voice note about what you just finished and call it done. 1 minute counts. If you are tired, listen to something short and say one sentence about it. If you forget, attach English to a daily action you already do, such as while you make tea, during your walk, or right after you close your laptop. If you feel pressure to be perfect, set a timer for 90 seconds, speak a simple version, and stop while it still feels easy. These small moves keep the rule alive. Let's do a quick practice round together so you can feel how fast this is. Say 2 sentences about something you did today. Now ask out loud the one small question you will send to a partner or group. Finally, choose one word you were not sure about and speak a short sentence using it. There you go. That is a complete microcycle. Use out loud, a quick social interaction, and a tiny review. Here's a short recap you can repeat to yourself. 70% of the time, I use English by speaking, retelling, and sending short messages. 30% of the time, I review small gaps by checking one word, one phrase, a grammar rule, or one sentence. I choose content I mostly understand so I can keep going. I stack small blocks across the week. Over to you now. Comment just one thing you'll do for your 70% tomorrow and say it out loud while you type to get extra speaking practice. And with that, your future self says, well done. I'm Adam, and I'll see you in the next episode.